Good day. Usually when I want to create a PowerPoint, I open up my PowerPoint presentation. Whatever source I'm going to use, I normally open up and have it ready. In this case, my source is this PDF. So I then generally snip using the snipping tool, and I would then snip the image that I require and copy. Then I would go back to my PowerPoint, right click and paste. And there I have the image, and then I size it. There you go. So that would be my first slide, and then I would annotate it by going to Insert, Text Box, and then click and drag. So for example, this would be B1. B1 listening and speaking, and I just drag it down, maybe size it up a little bit. And the unit would be unit 1, so I would go back to Insert, Text Box, and click and drag. So we call this unit 2. And there's my first slide. Done. So now I move on to my next slide. In my next slide, I go back to my source, and I want to put on the learning objectives. I go back to Snipping Tool, I create a new and click and drag the area that I require. Release, and then again copy. Then I go back to my PowerPoint. This is my second slide, but before I paste, I want to duplicate the slide so to make my life easier. So I right click, duplicate, right click, duplicate, right click, duplicate, and so on. I normally have a few ones ready so that I can work faster. So after that, click on the one that I require and right click and paste the image that I snipped from my source. Now then you just drag it out. Now over here I also want the students to remember where I am, so I go to Insert, again text box, and I create a text box over here which would be what is the name of this unit. I go back to my source, customs and traditions. So now I go back to my PowerPoint and type that in. And just to remind the students that we are which unit we in, I again open up a text box and I do unit 2. For this one I want it to be slightly smaller, so I click on the text box, go to my font size and reduce the size slightly, maybe not that much, and there we go. So now I can size this a little bit better, and as you can see on this side there is some material that I do not require, so I click on here and then I go to picture format, crop, click on the crop tool, place my cursor in here and click and drag, and then I click away, and there you have it. So that's quite easy to follow. So now I want to show you how to insert sound. So let's go back to my source and let's find a page where sound is required. So let's, for example, say I'm going to do this unit here or this piece of exercise here. Same thing. I go to my snipping tool, new, and click and drag. So now I got the text. I copy the text, go down to my PowerPoint presentation. Now click on the new one, but remember I forgot that I have done this on the first one. So what I want to do is, instead of redoing it every time, I'm going to right click and duplicate this so that the title is there, and in this one I now just delete. So right click and duplicate, right click and duplicate. This way my title is there for every page. I do not have to type it in again and again and again. So now I go to where I want to be and I right click and paste the snip that I need, and of course I drag it out. This is what you and the students are going to see. And now I see it's a listening from 2.1. So I've got to insert this. Easy thing to do. You go to insert, and this time instead of text box you go to audio. Click and go to audio on my PC if that is where it is. In my case it's on the PC. So now this is unit 2.1. There it is. Click on it and insert, and there is my audio. So now it's not very clear for somebody to see. So what I do is, to make it a little bit more visible, I'm going to give it a frame. So I go to insert again, this time to shapes, and I choose a rectangle box. I click and drag. Now I right click, and on the fill I say no fill, and on the now the fill is gone. Now the outline I want it to be a bit more, so I go down to weight, and there you have it. And there I have my sound, but I also have it in a frame so that it's easy to spot. And that's generally how you do it. Now just to show you, if I had to insert a video, same procedure. I go to insert and video, click video on my PC, and now I go and find wherever it is that I have saved it, and in this case it's video 2. I click and insert, and there you have your video. In this case I do not need this text on the side, so I delete this and I stretch out my video, move it, stretch it out, there you have it. So if I want to watch the video, all I have to do is click and then it plays. So that is generally what I do when I want to create a PowerPoint presentation from a source, and I hope you find this useful. Thank you.